need to change. I did a little riff on the serenity prayer. And remember, it's the serenity prayer or it's the courage prayer. People go down to the serenity side. So why isn't it called the courage prayer? Because serenity to accept things that I can't change, the courage to change things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, sometimes courage is required, but the person's not a courageous person. They say to me, oh, so I have to master serenity. I said, well, maybe I have to master courage. So maybe their insight is a function of the small envelope of their capacity for virtue. You see what I'm saying? I mean, if you lack courage, you will always come up with an answer that proposes serenity. If you're an aggressive person, you'll always come up with answers that require courage and not serenity. So that's why understanding truly, courageously, relentlessly, understanding the truth of what's happening within you will then have you look at the virtues that are out there, and you may say to yourself, I lack certain virtues, which is why my insight work always goes wrong, because I end up with the insight that actually matches my envelope. Now, that's deep work. This is going to really expand your sense of self, meaning your sense of insight is not going to keep taking you back to comfortable places. So there's insight connected to virtue. If you don't work on virtue, your insight, in my opinion, will always be deficient, because you will end up with answers that will place you in your comfort zone. Now, in virtue, remember there's a few aspects of virtue. I'll just give three important ones now. One is not just the kind of behavior, but I would say the specific rules and regulations connected to that behavior. So a person says to me, I want to be more patient and have a better temperament when I'm in tough conversations with other people. That's a really good quality. That's a good virtue, patience and temperance. But I realize that sometimes I say, they say, but I always get angry. When things go wrong, it goes 1, 2, 3, I start getting upset. What do I do? So here's a skill. Ask yourself exactly what you want. Now, you've heard me say this many times. But you see, if you want to be a person with temperance and patience, here's a skill that I believe you have to master. Say, what exactly do you want? And this sometimes takes a lot of reflection. What exactly do I want? People say, I have this all the time. I want respect, a person says. My response, too big a word. I don't know what it looks like, and nor does anybody else. So they say, okay, I just want my spouse, children to love me. Too big of a word. You will annoy them greatly if you say, I want you to love me. They don't know what that means. They'll say, well, I love you. Well, I don't feel you love me. And now it's about your feelings. Now your feelings are the gold standard, and no one can divine your feelings. Right? So you're in a constant subjective state of lack, of loss. You tell other people that you lack their love and respect. They ask you what it means, and you say, well, if you love me, you would know. I said, well, not only is that not insightful virtue, it's not even very smart to talk like that. So I say to people, tell me exactly what you want. Say, I don't really know. You see, here's where the virtue has to become specific. What exactly do you want? What would it look like with a timestamp on it? Can you communicate it clearly and be ready to take no for an answer? Now, what I'm sharing with you is, what exactly do I want? Is it achievable with a timestamp on it, a behavior? Number 2, communicate it clearly. Number 3, be ready to take no for an answer. And do not try to persuade a resistant person to do, know, believe, understand, be aware of anything. You try 1, 2, 3, get out of the game, and decide what you're going to do next. Now, this that I'm sharing with you, it has taken me truly decades to come up with this. Decades of counseling people to be able to say, what do you want? Is it clear, achievable, with a timestamp on it? Can you communicate it clearly? Take no for an answer. Decide what you're going to do next. Because if you try to persuade a resistant person to do something that they don't want to do, it's going to escalate. There's going to be bitterness. There's going to be anger.
Shalom, shalom tova uveracha. שים, שים, שים שלום, שים, שים, שים שלום טובה וברכה. איי 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 איי